Welcome to Fiction Flux. Today, we're kicking off a brand new fanfiction that's sure to blow your mind. What if female Deku had the Phoenix Quirk? Imagine the power of rebirth, eternal flames, and an unstoppable force within her. It's going to be an epic ride, so let's not waste any time, let's dive straight into the action. Buckle up, because this is going to be one wild journey. Smoke rose above the burning alleyway as Izumi Midoriya clutched her side, blood dripping from the deep gash across her ribs. Hey, guess that's what I get for trying to be flashy, she chuckled weakly, wincing. The villain towered over her, crackling with electricity, grinning like a maniac. You're done, little hero. No one's coming to save you. Izumi grinned through the pain. Yeah, but I don't need saving. Her body suddenly ignited, not in flames that burned, but in vibrant, glowing orange fire that shimmered like the sunrise. The villain blinked. What the hell? The fire engulfed her completely, her body vanishing in a vortex of flame, and then silence. Then, from the embers, a feather floated up. Then another. A dozen. 100. A golden glow sparked from the ashes. FWOOOSH. Izumi reappeared, reborn from the flames, her wounds gone, her eyes glowing with a fiery light, and massive phoenix wings made of shimmering fire spread from her back. Surprise, idiot. I don't die that easily. The villain screamed, launching a blast of lightning. Izumi flapped her wings and whooshed past it, leaving a trail of sparkles and heat. Tag, you're crispy, she shouted as she punched him into a dumpster, smoke rising from his scorched hair. Later at UA. Hi, Izumi sat on the couch, munching on snacks like nothing happened. So then, I literally exploded and came back like, poof. Total anime moment. Uraraka's jaw dropped. You exploded. I mean, technically, I combusted, but like, stylishly. Bakugo stormed in. Deku, what the hell is this I hear about you dying and coming back? Izumi grinned, her eyes glowing slightly. I'm basically immortal now. Bird edition. He squinted. What kind of broken quirk is that? I call it rebirth. I go boom, then I glow up. Everyone stared at her. I swear I'm not trying to be dramatic, it just happens, she mumbled while sipping juice. Aizawa walked by, eyes tired as usual. Midoriya, stop self-destructing. You're giving recovery girl heart attacks. Noted, she said sheepishly. As the days passed, Izumi's Phoenix Quirk gained popularity. Fans called her, the flaming hero, Ember Heart. Little did she know, the power had a deeper secret. Each time she resurrected, her emotions grew stronger, wilder. Anger, love, sorrow, they all burned hotter. One night, as she looked over the city, wings flickering behind her, Todoroki walked up beside her. You good, bird girl? Izumi smirked. Yeah, just wondering how many times I can rise before I forget what it's like to fall. Todoroki paused, then patted her head. Just don't go turning into an omelet. She burst out laughing. PFF'd. I'm not that kind of bird. In that moment, with her heart warm and full of laughter, Izumi realized, maybe rebirth wasn't about escaping death, but learning to live, again and again, with fire in your heart. The night air was calm, the stars twinkling like tiny eyes watching over Musudafu. Izumi stood on the dorm rooftop, her wings folded behind her like a fiery cape. She stared at her hand, it glowed faintly, even though she wasn't using her quirk. Weird, she whispered. Her fingertips sparked for a moment and, poof, a feather popped out and landed on Minetta's head down below. Ah, I'm cursed, he screamed, running in circles, as everyone laughed. But deep inside, Izumi didn't laugh. The rebirth was changing her. Every time she died and came back, her power got stronger, hotter, and harder to control. The next day during training, Izumi clashed with Bakugo again. Don't go easy on me, Deku. He yelled, charging at her with a massive explosion. I wasn't planning to, she shouted back, wings flaring. They collided mid-air, and just as Bakugo landed a hit, her body burst into fire again, unintentionally. The shockwave sent everyone flying. Smoke cleared. Midoriya, Iida shouted, panicked. But Izumi stood there, unharmed, and something was off. Her eyes glowed brighter than usual. The flames around her looked angry. Wild. Hua, is she okay? Kaminari whispered. Izumi blinked and looked at her hands, confused. I didn't mean to. Wait, why can't I turn it off? Her wings flared violently, scorching the trees. Hot hot hot. Somebody put me out, yelled Zero as he dodged a fireball. I think her emotions are affecting her quirk, Yaoyorozu said, analyzing quickly. She's not in control. Someone calm her down, Uraraka cried. Todoroki stepped forward, holding out his icy hand. Izumi, look at me. She was breathing fast, flames sparking off her every movement. You're not alone. Breathe. Remember, rebirth means a fresh start, right? So let's start again, right here. His words pierced through the firestorm. Slowly, the flames simmered. Her wings folded in, her breath slowed. She looked at him, tears in her eyes. I almost hurt everyone. Again, he smirked slightly. Welcome to the overpowered club. We've got jackets. Later that evening, Izumi sat on the common room floor wrapped in a blanket like a burrito. I think my quirk has mood swings. Like me, Kirishima chuckled. It's manly to feel stuff. Then I must be ultra manly, she groaned. All Might entered with a dramatic pose. Young Midoriya, I heard you went supernova again. Please don't call it that. But deep inside, a new fear bubbled. Because somewhere in the shadows, a cloaked figure watched her through a glowing orb. So the Phoenix lives again, perfect. Soon, that flame will be mine. Far from UA, deep in a hidden mountain lair surrounded by molten lava and shattered stone, a man with glowing crimson eyes watched the screen in front of him. His face was hidden under a jagged mask shaped like a beak, and flames crackled softly around his shoulders. He clenched his fist, watching Izumi's phoenix wings flare during training. So, the reincarnation cycle has begun again, he muttered. Just like her mother. Back at UA, Izumi tossed and turned in bed. Her dreams were on fire, literally. She saw flashes of a woman with the same wings as hers, burning brightly in a battlefield. Villains, chaos, destruction. Then, silence. A whisper echoed in the flames, he's coming for you. Izumi sat up, drenched in sweat. Who was that? She whispered. Was that, my mom? The next day, she marched straight to Recovery Girl's office, slamming her hands on the desk. Sensei, did my mom have a quirk? Recovery Girl blinked. That's complicated. Please, I need to know. The old woman sighed, sitting down. Your mother had a rare quirk. Rebirth, just like yours. But someone tried to steal it. That man, his name was Kyan. He called himself Ashfall. Izumi froze. He's still alive. I don't know, but if your quirk is awakening again, he might come back. At the same moment, Ashfall stood on a cliff, arms spread wide. The phoenix flame will be mine once more. Later that evening, UA was on high alert. A villain had broken into a nearby hero hospital, leaving behind only scorched feathers and the word, reclaimed, burned into the wall. Nezu called an emergency meeting. Class 1A, we believe a powerful villain is targeting Midoriya. You are all now on protection and combat duty. Izumi rolled her eyes. So basically, I'm on no fun lockdown. Bakugo scowled. You were already no fun. Uraraka nudged her. At least now we can fight together if he shows up. Yay, Izumi deadpanned. Group therapy but on fire. The next night, it happened. Boom. An explosion rocked the UA training grounds. Students scrambled out of their rooms as smoke filled the halls. He's here, shouted Jiro, grabbing her earpieces. Izumi burst through the flames, wings ignited, eyes blazing. Standing in the center of the courtyard was Ashfall, flames swirling around him like a tornado. His mask shimmered in the firelight. So, you really are her daughter, he said, voice deep and distorted. I don't care who you are, Izumi snapped. You're not taking my quirk. Ashfall raised a hand. I'm not taking it. I'm claiming what's already mine. They clashed midair, fire against fire, wings against storm. The sky turned orange, clouds splitting from the shockwaves. Izumi screamed as her feathers ignited into blazing darts and shot toward him. He countered with a swirl of dark flame, twisting like a dragon. From below, her classmates watched in awe and horror. She's literally fighting a volcano. Kaminari yelled. Should we help? Mina asked. No way, Todoroki said. That's a family grudge. We'd just get roasted. In the heart of the storm, Izumi yelled, you don't get to decide my fate. I'm not your heir, I'm my own flame. Ashfall laughed. Then burn like one. He struck her down with a massive burst of shadow fire. She hit the ground hard, coughing, body flickering. Her classmates screamed her name. But Izumi smiled through the pain. One more time. Her body erupted again. A blinding golden light shot upward like a beacon, and from the ashes rose a massive phoenix, 10 times her size, wings blazing across the entire sky. Izumi hovered above them all, her voice echoing like a goddess of flame. You want my quirk? Come and try again. Ashfall hesitated. For the first time in years, he felt fear. And then she dove. The sky split open as the giant phoenix roared, wings stretching across the horizon like a living flame. Izumi's eyes glowed pure gold, her voice echoing with ancient power. This ends now. She swooped down at Ashfall, a flaming trail behind her like a meteor. He raised his arms, trying to summon a fire shield, but it cracked under the pressure. She smashed into him like a thunderclap, sending shockwaves through the entire city. Buildings trembled, windows shattered, and the clouds above were vaporized into golden mist. Boom! Ashfall was launched into the mountains, crashing through trees and rocks like a ragdoll. Smoke rose from his armor as he coughed, struggling to stand. Impossible, she accessed the ancient flame. Izumi floated above him, breathing hard, the giant phoenix behind her slowly fading into glowing embers. I'm done running, she said, voice steady. You want the Phoenix Quirk? Earn it, or get burned trying. Ashfall growled, pushing up from the crater. You think you've won? This was just a warm-up. Next time, I'll bring the cinders. He disappeared into a swirl of smoke, vanishing like a dying spark. Izumi dropped to her knees, exhausted, flames flickering out. Her classmates rushed over, cheering, shouting, hugging her. That was so cool, Kaminari screamed. You were like, RAAAH, and he was like, no. Exclaimed Mina, throwing her hands everywhere. Midoriya, Aizawa said, kneeling beside her. You okay? She nodded slowly. Yeah, just crispy. Todoroki handed her a water bottle. Next time, try not to explode the sky. Weather's already unstable. She took it and chuckled weakly. No promises. Later that night, Izumi sat in her room, staring at an old photo. A woman with long green hair and fiery eyes smiled back, her mother. The original Phoenix. I guess you passed this torch to me, huh? She whispered. I won't mess it up. Suddenly, a puff of smoke appeared behind her and a tiny fire spirit popped out of her pillow. Hi, I'm Flick, guardian of the flame. You unlocked Phoenix Tier 2, congrats. Izumi screamed and threw her juice box at it. Why is everything magic now? Flick bounced off the wall and saluted. Because you're awesome and also, stuff's gonna get worse. She blinked. What do you mean, worse? Flick smiled nervously. Well, remember that giant fiery bird thing you summoned? Yeah, you kinda woke up something ancient. And hungry. She stared at him, jaw dropped. Can't I just have one peaceful nap? Flick handed her a scroll. Nope. Next arc starts now. Izumi unrolled the scroll, expecting some ancient prophecy or magical map. Instead, it read in big, glowing letters, warning, do not feed the celestial beast. She blinked. What the heck is a celestial beast? Flick started sweating. It's kind of like a cosmic dragon phoenix kaiju thing. You know, the usual. Izumi stared at him. Usual for who? Meanwhile, far above Earth, something stirred in the stars. A massive pair of glowing eyes opened in the void, staring down at the world like a curious cat eyeing a snack. It shifted, stars bending around its wings. Back at UA, alarms went off again. Another villain. Bakugo groaned, brushing his teeth. Nope, Nezu said through the intercom. Something far weirder. Please report to the sky observation deck. Yes, that's a thing now. The students gathered outside as a golden trail slowly descended from the sky. It looked like a shooting star, until it roared. The clouds split as a giant shimmering beast flew overhead, wings wide enough to blot out the sun. Kirishima's jaw dropped. Is that a shiny legendary? I didn't bring any ultra balls. Kaminari cried. Izumi stared in awe. It's beautiful. Flick floated beside her. Yeah, that's the celestial beast. You accidentally pinged it when you went Phoenix mode level 2. Now it thinks you're its mom. What? The beast landed on UA's sports field, curling its massive body like a cat getting comfy. Then it let out a low, content purr and nuzzled Izumi with a head the size of a bus. Everyone stared in stunned silence. "Well," Todoroki said, sipping his juice. "That's new." Nezu clapped his paws. "Congratulations, young Midoriya, you now own a star dragon. This is not a pet," she shouted, trying to push its snout away. It licked her, with cosmic fire. "Ah, my hair is glowing," she screamed, running in circles as her hair sparkled like a galaxy. Bakugo fell over laughing. "This is the best day of my life." Later that night, as everyone tried to sleep with a giant celestial creature parked in the backyard, Izumi sat by her window, sighing. First a villain, now a space dragon, what next? Time-traveling Phoenix Grandpa. A tiny scroll popped in front of her. She screamed. Again. Flick peeked out from under her bed. "Yeah, about that." Izumi snatched the scroll midair, ready to blast it if it even sneezed wrong. She unrolled it slowly, and groaned. In bold glowing letters, "Phoenix bloodline anomaly detected. Temporal disturbance imminent. Please prepare for Grandpa." She blinked. "I was kidding." A flash of light exploded in her room. Feathers swirled, time slowed, and standing in the center of the sparkly chaos was an old man. Tall, wrinkly, with blazing orange wings, a cane shaped like a flaming chicken leg, and eyebrows longer than All Might's entire career. "Behold," he boomed. "I am Fuyuhiko Midoriya, first of the Phoenix line, also a bingo champion." Everyone in the dorms peeked into her room. "Why is there an anime grandpa doing Tai Chi in your closet?" Jiro asked. Izumi facepalmed. "This is my life now." Fuyuhiko spun his cane and declared, "The celestial beast you awakened was once my pet. Good job, granddaughter. Now we must train you to become the Phoenix Empress of this era." "Can I pass?" she muttered. "Nope," Flick said cheerfully, sipping tea. And so began the weirdest training arc ever. Grandpa Fuyuhiko made her carry flaming buckets up a mountain, race the celestial beast through the sky while blindfolded, and memorize ancient Phoenix chants that sounded suspiciously like karaoke songs. One morning, while trying to meditate on a lava rock, she groaned, "Why can't I just punch things like a normal hero?" Fuyuhiko floated upside down. "Because you are flame. And flame dances." Bakugo yelled from below, "Flames also explode, old man." Fuyuhiko blasted him into a pond with one pinky. "Silence, spicy boy." Despite the chaos, Izumi grew stronger. Her flames turned golden. Her wings became sleeker, faster. She could even understand the celestial beast's weird star language. Kind of. Mostly it just wanted snacks. But just when things seemed under control, the sky cracked. Literally. A massive rift tore open above UA, and dark wings emerged. Dozens of them. A shadowy figure stepped out, riding what looked like a skeleton made of void. "I am the Ash Prophet," he declared, voice like burnt paper. "And I will end the Phoenix line once and for all." Grandpa's eyes narrowed. "You again." Izumi stood up, fists clenched, wings flaring. "Who is that?" Fuyuhiko whispered. "My older brother. Banished for using the forbidden Ash Quirk." The Ash Prophet smiled, his eyes locking onto Izumi. "You have what I need, little flame. Let's see if you're worthy to keep it." The wind howled as the Ash Prophet hovered above UA, wings of black ash flapping silently like the night itself. His voice echoed through the entire city. "You carry the last spark of the eternal flame. Surrender it, or I'll turn this world to soot." Izumi stepped forward, her phoenix wings spreading wide, fire licking the air around her. "You'll have to go through me first, Grandpa Emo." The students gasped. "Oh my god, she just roasted him," Kaminari whispered. Even the celestial beast behind her let out a proud chirp. The Ash Prophet smirked. "Cute. I'll enjoy watching your flame fade." He dove like a meteor, darkness trailing behind him, but Izumi launched upward with a mighty flap. Boom. The sky lit up as flame and ash clashed, swirling like a hurricane of color and shadow. Sparks flew. Punches echoed like thunder. The ground shook as their powers collided again and again. Down below, Fuyuhiko squinted. "She's holding back." "What?" Uraraka gasped. "She hasn't used her full potential," he said, sipping fiery tea. "She doesn't know yet." Izumi flipped mid-air, blasting a spiral of golden fire at the prophet, but he sliced through it with a blade of pure ash. You fight well, for a child. Izumi smirked. Yeah, well, I've had worse burns, from Bakugo's insults. Hey, Bakugo yelled from the stands. But just as she powered up for another strike, the Ash Prophet raised both arms, and the sky went black. Literally, like someone erased the sun with a sharpie. Suddenly, Izumi couldn't breathe. Her flames flickered. She plummeted. Izumi, Uraraka screamed. Fuyohiko stood calmly. She must fall, to rise. As Izumi crashed into the ground, the Ash Prophet descended slowly, his shadow swallowing everything. Your flame dies here, Izumi groaned, barely able to move. Her vision blurred. Around her, everything felt cold, empty. Then, a soft warmth. A tiny flame appeared in front of her. Then another. Then hundreds. Spirits of the past Phoenix holders floated down, ancient, glowing, comforting. One stepped forward. A woman with green hair and kind eyes. Izumi, it's time. Izumi whispered, Mom. The spirit smiled. You were the next Ember Queen. Embrace the final form. And just like that, FWOOM. The flames returned. No, not just flames. Celestial flame mode. Izumi rose from the ground, floating gently as her wings turned into pure starlight. Her hair flowed like lava in zero gravity. Her eyes burned like twin suns. The Ash Prophet stepped back. Impossible. She raised one hand. This is for every flame you tried to smother. And she moved. In a blink, she was in front of him, fist glowing like a newborn star. Boom. The punch shattered the sky illusion. Light returned. The Ash Prophet flew backward, crashing through dimensions, his mask cracked. What are you? He gasped. Izumi stood tall, wings blazing. I'm Izumi Midoriya, and I don't burn out, I rise. The celestial beast roared in victory, shooting fireworks from its nostrils like a confused party cannon. Fuyohiko wept proudly. That's my granddaughter. The Ash Prophet vanished in a final puff of ash, muttering, She will burn the stars. Izumi floated down, exhausted but smiling. Her friends rushed to her, cheering and laughing. You did it. Uraraka hugged her. I knew you were insane, but this was next level. Kaminari shouted. Bakugo scoffed. Show off. I still hit harder. She grinned. Wanna race the space dragon next? He paused. I'm listening. As the sun rose, lighting up a world saved by a girl reborn again and again, Izumi whispered to herself. Even ashes can shine. The world was quiet for once. The sky, no longer darkened by the Ash Prophet's influence, gleamed with a serene blue, untouched by shadows. Izumi hovered gently above UA, her wings now shimmering like constellations. Her breath was still ragged, but a sense of peace washed over her. You did it, Midoriya, Aizawa called from below, his usual stoic expression softened by a hint of admiration. You really did. She floated down, her fiery wings retracting with a flash, leaving behind the faintest trail of sparkles. I couldn't have done it without all of you, she said, looking around at her classmates. It's a team effort, after all. Yeah, Bakugo grumbled. Don't get soft on me now. You still owe me that race. Izumi smirked. All right, after we finish saving the world, then we'll see who's faster. The celestial beast, still perched like a giant, starry cat in the background, let out a loud, satisfied roar as if agreeing with the challenge. It had taken a liking to Izumi, and no one was quite sure how to deal with its cosmic personality. Guess I have a pet star now, she muttered, half in disbelief. Flick appeared, fluttering up to her side with a tiny scroll. About that. Flick, if you say anything about more surprises, I might just explode you into space. Flick chuckled nervously. It's nothing bad, promise. Just a little note from the Phoenix Elders. They're, kind of impressed. And they want you to. Want me to what? Izumi raised an eyebrow. Be the official Phoenix Guardian of the Multiverse. Say that again. The Phoenix line isn't just tied to one world. It's a power that transcends realities. And they want you to protect all of them. Izumi froze. Wait, you're telling me, I have to become like, a multiverse superhero? Flick shrugged, looking oddly proud. Yeah, pretty much. It's either that or they start calling you the Unchosen Flame, and trust me, that title isn't cute. Izumi looked at her friends, her eyes twinkling with excitement and a little bit of hesitation. This is a lot to take in. Tell me about it, Bakugo muttered, adjusting his gloves. You've got a literal celestial dragon and now you're gonna become some interdimensional guardian. Izumi laughed. I think I'd be a pretty good one, don't you? Todoroki stepped forward, his usual calm demeanor on full display. Whatever you decide, we've got your back. Always. Her heart swelled. Thanks, everyone. The next morning, Izumi found herself standing before Principal Nezu in his office, a new scroll in hand, one that glowed with a golden light. So, you've made your decision? Nezu asked, his eyes curious but kind. Izumi nodded, her fingers curling around the scroll. Yeah, I think I'm ready to take on the multiverse, but I'm not leaving here. UA is my home. You all are my family. Nezu smiled warmly. That's exactly why I knew you were the right one. You're not just powerful, Midoriya. You're compassionate, and that will be what makes you an even better protector. The Phoenix line lives in you. With that, a new chapter began for Izumi. No longer just a girl with a powerful quirk, she was now the protector of countless worlds, her legacy written in the stars, her fire burning brighter than ever. As she stood by the window, gazing at the horizon, she heard Flick's voice pop up from behind her. You know, you're going to need some seriously cool gear for your multiverse adventures. Izumi turned, her lips curling into a mischievous grin. I think it's time to make my own legendary outfit. And just like that, the girl with the phoenix wings, reborn and unbreakable, set her sights on the stars, ready to fight for every world, every flame. Izumi's eyes sparkled as she looked out at the horizon, her newfound destiny stretching out before her like an endless, shimmering path. The idea of being a multiversal guardian still felt surreal, but with her wings fluttering lightly behind her, she knew this was her purpose. Her journey was far from over. Flick appeared again, fluttering excitedly around her. You know, for a multiverse hero, you really need a signature look. Can't be flying through dimensions in that UA uniform. We need something epic. Izumi smirked. What did you have in mind? Flick held up a small, glowing hologram, like a concept art of her in full phoenix regalia. It was sleek, made of metallic red and gold armor with shimmering, ethereal feathers cascading down her back. Her wings were large, fiery with intricate patterns like constellations. The armor sparkled with cosmic fire, and around her waist was a celestial belt that seemed to pull energy from the stars themselves. Izumi's eyes widened. Okay, that's actually amazing. But I'd still need something me about it. Flick grinned. I was thinking we could add a touch of your own spirit. Maybe some green details to match your aura, and green works. But definitely not too much, she said with a wink. I don't need to look like a walking Christmas tree. Flick chuckled. Deal. We'll make it legendary, I promise. As the two brainstormed, Izumi couldn't help but feel the weight of what was to come. The responsibility was immense, but she wasn't alone. She had her friends, her family, and the will to rise every time she fell, no matter the universe she found herself in. Back at UA, the others were busy preparing for their own future. Despite the chaos of the last few weeks, there was an odd sense of calm in the air. The heroes knew that their lives had changed forever, but they had something to protect now, each other. Izumi was sitting outside, working with Flick on the outfit design, when she saw Bakugo walking toward her, a smirk plastered on his face. All right, Firecracker, you ready for that race? He asked, crossing his arms. Izumi laughed. You really can't wait to lose, huh? Bakugo scoffed. You think you're faster than me now? Oh, I know I am, she teased, her wings flaring slightly as she stood up. The celestial beast behind her stretched and let out a low, cosmic roar, as if it was itching for the race too. All right, Bakugo said, his grin widening. Let's see if you can keep up with this. With a flash of movement, Bakugo was already sprinting toward the open field, the sound of explosions following him like a trail of thunder. Izumi chuckled, then, with a beat of her wings, took off, soaring above him, her fiery form trailing sparks. As they zoomed through the sky, weaving around buildings and dodging incoming obstacles, the wind in Izumi's hair felt like freedom itself. She could feel the power coursing through her, the rebirth of a girl who had once been quirkless, now a protector of not just her world, but all worlds. Suddenly, Izumi shot forward, her wings glowing bright as she boosted herself into overdrive. Bakugo tried to catch up with his explosions, but she was already miles ahead. "See ya," Izumi called back with a laugh, barely able to keep her wings steady as she pushed herself faster. "You cheater," Bakugo screamed after her, though the laughter in his voice made it clear he was enjoying this just as much as she was. Izumi's heart raced. As they both landed in the middle of the field, breathless and exhilarated, she couldn't help but smile. She had everything she needed. The future was waiting, and she was ready to face it. With her friends by her side, and the vast multiverse ahead of her, Izumi Midoriya, Phoenix Guardian of the Multiverse, was ready for whatever came next. Her wings, as fiery and bright as the stars, would never burn out. Izumi landed gracefully, the final burst of her golden flames gently fading into the air. She turned to face Bakugo, who was panting heavily, his explosive quirk already winding down from his last effort to catch up. The challenge was over, but the spark in his eyes hadn't dimmed. "You're gonna regret that, Midoriya," Bakugo huffed, his trademark scowl still in place, though there was a glint of pride in it. Izumi laughed, brushing her hair out of her face. "Come on, Kachan, you know you love it when I show you up. Don't get cocky, Deku." He shot back, though the smile tugging at his lips betrayed him. "Next time, I'm blowing you into the stratosphere." "Oh, please," Izumi teased. It'd be a race to see who gets back to the ground first. Their banter continued as the rest of the class joined them on the field, everyone feeling the strange mix of relief and excitement in the air. The threat of the Ash Prophet was gone, but new adventures awaited. Izumi could sense that the universe was not done with her just yet. "All right, enough of the running," Jiro said, walking over with a grin. "We're just glad you didn't burn the whole field down, Phoenix Queen." Izumi grinned, throwing her arms behind her head. "Hey, I'm keeping it under control now, promise. Just, don't challenge me to an air race again. I was just gonna ask if you could teach me how to make fire wings, but now I'm thinking I'll pass," Mina said, still looking at Izumi's fiery glow in awe. "Yeah, I don't think anyone needs that much power," Todoroki said, his eyes glinting. "Unless you plan to light up the entire world like a firecracker." Izumi smirked. "I mean, maybe I could. But I'm trying to be responsible now." Suddenly, the air around them rippled. A familiar presence flickered in the distance, and the students looked up to see a strange, glowing portal opening above UA. It was much different from the rift that had brought the Ash Prophet. It was brighter, almost inviting. "Is that another portal?" Uraraka asked, tilting her head. Before anyone could answer, the portal expanded, and a figure stepped through, radiating a calm, yet powerful aura. The figure was dressed in ancient robes, holding a staff that glowed with the same golden fire that Izumi controlled. Guys," Izumi said, her voice a little less confident now. "That's definitely not someone I know." The figure smiled gently. "Izumi Midoriya, Phoenix Guardian of the Multiverse. It is time for your next trial." Everyone froze. A trial. Izumi had barely gotten used to her new role as a multiversal protector. Was she really about to be thrown into another challenge so soon? "Hold up," Bakugo barked, stepping forward. "Who the hell are you?" The figure's gaze flickered over to Bakugo, but there was no malice in their eyes, only understanding. "I am Anera, the Keeper of Worlds. I have watched your journey from the cosmic realms, and now it is time for you to face what you have been preparing for." Izumi's heart pounded. "What do you mean, time to face it?" Anera raised their staff, and the air around them began to shimmer. "The multiverse is in danger. A new force, darker and more dangerous than anything you have encountered before, is awakening. It threatens to erase not just your world, but all worlds." "Hold on," Izumi said, taking a step forward. "Why didn't you warn me about this sooner?" Anera's face softened. "Your power needed to mature, Izumi Midoriya. The Phoenix bloodline requires you to grow strong, both in body and spirit. Only now are you ready to face what is coming." Izumi clenched her fists, the weight of her destiny pressing down on her. "Okay, I get it. What do I need to do?" Anera's eyes glimmered with ancient wisdom. You must gather the Phoenix Guardians of each world. There are others like you, other chosen ones who bear the flame of the Phoenix. You must find them, unite them, and prepare for the coming darkness. Bakugo stepped forward, crossing his arms. You want her to play matchmaker for some fire-themed heroes. Izumi gave Bakugo a pointed look, then turned back to Inara. Where do I start? Inara smiled. Your first step is already clear. There is a world in peril, one where the very concept of time is collapsing. You must go there, defeat the force of darkness, and bring the first guardian to your side. Izumi's heart raced. A time-collapsing world. How'd I even? Before she could finish, Inara raised their hand, and a map of shimmering light appeared before her, showing a path through swirling galaxies. You will know when you arrive. The first world will call to you, Inara explained. Go, and bring hope to the multiverse. The map shifted, and a pinpoint location marked the beginning of her journey. Izumi took a deep breath, looking around at her friends one last time. All right, time to take flight again. I'll be back. This, I can do. With a final nod to Inara, she spread her wings, the golden fire lighting up the sky once again. And with that, she was gone, blazing into the cosmos, ready to face whatever the multiverse had in store for her next. Izumi soared through the stars, her fiery wings cutting through the darkness of space with the grace of a comet. The map Inara had given her pulsed in her mind, showing her the path to the world in peril, a place where time itself was unraveling. The journey was unlike any she had ever experienced. The vastness of the multiverse was overwhelming, and yet, there was a sense of purpose in every beat of her wings. As she flew, she couldn't help but think of her friends back at UA. They had supported her through everything, and now, she was leaving them behind for another mission, one that might take her far from home. She wasn't scared, though. She had always been the one to rise to the challenge, to face what others couldn't. But the thought of them, of Kachan, of her family, grounded her. I'll be back, she thought, her heart burning with determination. The world Inara had directed her to appeared before her, a swirling mass of distorted light. The very fabric of reality seemed to be tearing apart at the edges, as if the world itself was caught in a battle between time and chaos. Izumi could feel the energy crackling in the air as she descended. She landed softly on the broken ground, her wings folding behind her as the chaotic winds whipped around her. The world was eerily silent, save for the occasional rift that cracked open in the sky, sending a blast of light shooting through the dark clouds. She could sense the imbalance in the air, the tension that gripped the world. This was a place of great need. This is it, Izumi whispered, her voice steady, though her heart beat faster with the weight of the situation. Time is really collapsing here. She didn't know what to expect, but the hairs on the back of her neck stood up as she saw a figure emerge from the shadows. A woman, tall and dressed in a flowing cloak of shimmering silver. Her eyes glowed with the same fiery intensity that Izumi recognized, another guardian. She was the first. You've come, the woman said, her voice soft but commanding. I knew the Phoenix would choose one with fire in her soul. Izumi stepped forward, her wings flicking behind her. Are you the one I'm supposed to find? The guardian of this world? The woman nodded, her smile almost melancholic. Yes, I am the guardian of time. But time, as you can see, is dying here. I've been trying to hold it together, but, it's slipping through my fingers. Izumi's heart sank as she observed the damage to the world around her. The sky had split open in several places, and fragments of time, shattered moments, memories, and events, floated aimlessly in the air, drifting like forgotten dreams. I can help, Izumi said, her voice firm. Together, we can stop this. The guardian's eyes softened, and she stepped forward, her hand extended. I have been waiting for you. But you must understand, the force causing this destruction is not just some natural disaster. It's an enemy, an ancient entity that thrives on time itself. If we do not stop it, this world, along with countless others, will be erased. Izumi took the woman's hand, the warmth of their combined powers igniting a spark of hope. Then let's put an end to it. With a nod, the guardian lifted her staff, and time itself began to bend and twist around them. The rifts in the sky grew larger, and the ground cracked beneath their feet. Izumi could feel the raw power of the guardian's quirk, time manipulation, coursing through the air, but she also felt the strain, the exhaustion of holding together a world on the brink of collapse. "I'm not strong enough to hold back the darkness on my own," the Guardian said, her voice heavy. "The force I'm fighting, it feeds off the instability. It's like a parasite, and it grows stronger the more time falls apart." Izumi's heart raced. "Then we fight it together. We have to." The two women stood side by side, their quirks intertwining. Izumi's phoenix flames burned bright, golden fire swirling around her like a shield, while the Guardian's power wove through the air, stitching time back together with delicate precision. The chaos around them seemed to calm for a moment, as if the world itself was holding its breath. But then, the darkness descended. A massive, shadowy figure emerged from the rift, a creature made of fractured time and shifting shapes. It was a being of pure chaos, its eyes glowing with an eerie, unnatural light. It hissed as it reached out. Tendrils of darkness twisting through the air like cracks in the fabric of reality itself. "There it is," the Guardian whispered. "The enemy that threatens everything." Izumi took a deep breath, her fiery wings spreading wide as she prepared for battle. "This is it. We fight. We protect." The dark creature lunged, its form shifting faster than Izumi could react. She barely dodged the first attack, feeling the pull of time itself trying to tear her apart as she soared into the air. The Guardian was already moving, her staff glowing brightly as she shot blasts of light at the creature, but it absorbed the energy, its form growing stronger with each attack. Izumi wasn't about to let it win. Her wings flared as she charged toward the creature, her flames igniting in a blaze of gold and red. "Stay back, Guardian," Izumi shouted. "This is my fight." With a fierce cry, she lunged forward, her fiery claws aimed directly at the creature's heart. The battle was on, and Izumi Midoriya was ready to show the multiverse what it meant to face the Phoenix. Time itself might be collapsing, but she wasn't going to let it end here. Izumi's flame surged as she clashed with the dark creature, the force of her attack sending shockwaves through the fractured air. Her wings beat fiercely, keeping her aloft as the creature recoiled, its form warping and twisting with the damage. But it wasn't enough. The creature's dark aura seemed to absorb her flames, twisting them into something darker, something more dangerous. "You've got to do better than that, Phoenix." The creature hissed, its voice echoing in the ruptured space like 1,000 whispers. Izumi's eyes blazed with determination. "I'm just getting started." The Guardian of Time raised her staff, casting ripples of time energy toward the creature. The dark being howled, but instead of attacking the Guardian, it turned its attention back to Izumi. It was as if it recognized her as the real threat, the one who could stop it. "Time is not the only force I control, creature," Izumi shouted, her body glowing brighter as her power swelled. "I am the fire that burns away the darkness." With a sudden flare, Izumi launched herself straight at the creature, her wings a fiery blur. She could feel the power of her rebirth coursing through her, the endless cycles of death and rebirth fueling her resolve. Every defeat, every moment of weakness, had brought her here, stronger, fiercer, unyielding. The creature met her midair, its dark tendrils whipping toward her, trying to engulf her in shadows. But Izumi was faster. She swerved, her wings cutting through the darkness like a blade. With a roar, she unleashed a torrent of flames, consuming the creature's form in an explosion of fiery light. The darkness screamed, but it wasn't enough to stop it. The creature reformed, its shape becoming more fluid, more malleable as it adapted to her attacks. "I need to find its weakness," Izumi thought, her mind racing. She glanced at the Guardian, who was still holding her own, her staff glowing brighter as she fought to stabilize the unraveling time around them. But the Guardian's power was waning, she was struggling to maintain control over the collapsing world. "Izumi," the Guardian called out, her voice strained. "The creature is feeding off the instability of time. If you can stabilize this place, it will lose its power. But you must act quickly." Izumi's heart skipped a beat. If she could stabilize time itself, the creature would weaken. But how? She looked around, the broken world swirling around her like a shattered mirror. Time fragments floated in the air, shimmering with a strange, almost hypnotic energy. "I need to unite the fragments," Izumi realized. "I need to heal the fabric of time itself." With a deep breath, she focused her power. Her flames, once chaotic and wild, began to swirl around her in a controlled pattern, each flame flickering in perfect harmony with the fragments of time. The golden fire seemed to bend and pulse with the flow of time itself, stitching the rifts together, creating a bridge between the broken moments. As the fire surged, the creature shrieked, its form flickering as the connection between its power and the collapsing world weakened. It lashed out in desperation, but the more it fought, the more its power slipped away, as if time itself was rejecting it. "You can't escape me," Izumi said, her voice full of conviction. "Time may be broken, but I won't let you destroy it." She dove into the center of the chaos, her flames merging with the broken fragments of time. The air around her crackled with energy as she unleashed everything she had, her power, her rebirth, her very soul. The phoenix flame roared in her chest, burning brighter than ever before. With a final, deafening roar, the creature was consumed by the flames. Its form disintegrated, the darkness dissipating into nothingness as Izumi's fire purged the malevolent force from existence. The world around her began to stabilize, the rifts slowly sealing themselves, as if the universe itself was breathing a sigh of relief. Izumi landed softly, her wings folding behind her as she watched the last remnants of the darkness fade away. The Guardian of Time approached, her eyes filled with gratitude. "You did it," the Guardian said, her voice filled with awe. "You saved this world, and in doing so, you've proven your worth." Izumi smiled, exhaustion creeping into her bones. "I couldn't have done it without your help." The Guardian nodded, her expression solemn. "You've done more than just save a world, Izumi Midoriya. You've sealed your place as a true Phoenix Guardian. But remember, the multiverse is vast, and the darkness you faced here, it is only one of many. The trials ahead will be even harder. Your journey is far from over." Izumi's heart sank slightly. She had hoped for a moment of peace, but she knew the truth. There was more to come. More worlds to save, more battles to fight. But she was ready. She had to be. "I understand," Izumi said, her voice steady. "I'll keep going, no matter what comes next." The Guardian smiled warmly. "That's the spirit of a true phoenix. Go, Izumi. Your next trial awaits." With a final nod, Izumi spread her wings once more, the flames swirling around her as she ascended into the sky. As she flew, the Guardian's words echoed in her mind, "The trials ahead will be even harder." But Izumi wasn't afraid. The phoenix never feared the flames. It was reborn from them. And she would rise again. Izumi soared higher into the sky, the warmth of her flames radiating outward as she ascended into the vast unknown. The world she had just saved faded below her, a mere memory as she pushed forward toward her next trial. The winds of the multiverse whipped around her, pulling her in every direction, but her focus remained sharp. She had no time to relax. The phoenix within her had awakened, and with it, a sense of purpose. Her journey had only just begun. As the stars twinkled around her, Izumi couldn't help but reflect on everything that had happened. The world she saved, the Guardian of Time, and the battle she had fought, it all seemed like a distant dream now, but the fire within her heart burned brighter than ever. "I did it," she whispered, her voice filled with a quiet pride. "But I know there's more. I can feel it." Her thoughts were interrupted by a sudden surge of energy, a pull she couldn't resist. The map bnha had given her flared in her mind, guiding her toward her next destination. It wasn't just a place, it was a moment in time, a crossroads where fate itself would test her. Izumi's wings flared as she dove forward, the golden flames trailing behind her like a comet. She didn't know what awaited her, but she would face it head-on. Her power, her rebirth, was her greatest strength. She wasn't afraid of what the future held. She had already been through so much, and each time she had risen stronger. As she entered a new world, the temperature dropped sharply. The winds were colder here, and the atmosphere felt heavier. The ground beneath her feet was made of blackened stone, cracked and jagged like the remnants of a shattered mirror. The sky above was overcast, with swirling clouds that seemed to mirror the turmoil of the land. "This place," Izumi murmured, her eyes scanning the desolate horizon. "It feels wrong." Her instincts kicked in, and she immediately knew something was off. There was a darkness here, an oppressive force that hung in the air like a weight on her chest. She could sense the imbalance in the world, like a needle pulling at the fabric of reality. This world wasn't just in danger, it was being consumed. From the shadows, a figure emerged. It was tall, draped in a cloak of darkness, with glowing red eyes that seemed to pierce through the gloom. The figure stepped forward, its form shifting like smoke, never fully solid. "I've been waiting for you," the figure said, its voice low and chilling. "The Phoenix. The one who cannot die." Izumi clenched her fists, her flames flaring in response to the figure's ominous words. "Who are you? What is this place?" The figure's red eyes gleamed with malice. "I am the Harbinger of Oblivion. And this world, it is a place where time and death converge. A prison of memories and forgotten fates. You've come to save it, but it's already too late." Izumi's heart pounded in her chest. She had faced darkness before, but this felt different. The Harbinger's presence seemed to seep into her very soul, threatening to extinguish her fire. But she wouldn't back down. "Not now. Not ever. I'm not afraid of you," she said, her voice strong and unwavering. "I've faced death and come back. You won't stop me." The Harbinger chuckled, its form flickering. "You think you can defy me? I am the embodiment of death itself. Your flames are nothing in the face of oblivion." Izumi's wings spread wide, flames erupting from her back as she powered up. "Then let's see if your darkness can handle my light." With a roar, Izumi charged forward, her fiery wings cutting through the air like a blade. The Harbinger raised its hand, a dark energy forming around its fingers, but Izumi was faster. She struck first, her fiery claws slashing through the dark energy, disintegrating it into nothingness. The Harbinger recoiled, its form flickering. "Impressive," it hissed. "But you cannot escape the inevitable. The more you fight, the stronger I become." Izumi's heart raced as the Harbinger's words echoed in her mind. "The stronger it becomes. What does that mean?" Before she could react, the ground beneath her feet began to crack, and a surge of dark energy exploded from the Harbinger. Izumi barely had time to react, her flames flaring around her to shield herself, but the energy hit her with the force of a hurricane. The blast sent her crashing to the ground, her wings momentarily extinguished by the sheer power of the attack. She struggled to stand, her body aching from the impact. The Harbinger loomed over her, its eyes glowing with a dark satisfaction. "You see now, Phoenix. You cannot escape your fate. You are nothing more than a fleeting spark in the face of eternal darkness." Izumi's chest heaved as she gasped for breath, but she didn't give up. She couldn't. She wasn't just a fleeting spark. She was the Phoenix, reborn from the ashes, again and again. With a cry of defiance, she called upon the deepest reserves of her power. Her flames roared back to life, brighter and hotter than ever before. The world around her seemed to vibrate with the intensity of her energy, as if even the land itself recognized the fire she wielded. "No," Izumi whispered, her voice filled with a fierce resolve. "I will not let you win." The Harbinger's form trembled, the darkness around it flickering as if it were being burned away by the sheer heat of Izumi's flames. "This is impossible," it hissed. Izumi raised her hands, her flames coalescing into a massive sphere of pure fire. The intensity of the heat was enough to warp the very air around her. "I'm the Phoenix, and I'll never burn out." With a final, powerful shout, Izumi hurled the sphere of flames at the Harbinger, engulfing it in a burst of light so bright, the entire world seemed to tremble. The darkness that had once consumed the land began to disintegrate, burned away by the purity of her power. The Harbinger's scream echoed as it was consumed by the flames, its form shattering into 1,000 pieces, lost to the fire. And just like that, the darkness that had plagued the world was gone. Izumi fell to her knees, her flames flickering as the battle came to an end. She could feel the exhaustion pulling at her, but she couldn't stop now. There was still so much more to do. As the world began to heal, the air grew lighter, the sky clearing to reveal a glimpse of stars once more. Izumi looked around, the weight of what she had just done sinking in. "You did it," she whispered to herself, a tired but triumphant smile tugging at her lips. But even as the world stabilized, she knew one thing for sure. The Phoenix's journey was far from over. Izumi stood up, her body still trembling with the aftermath of the battle, but the flames around her were calmer now, as though acknowledging the peace she had just brought. Her wings fluttered weakly, as if they too were exhausted from the fierce fight. The world was slowly shifting back into balance, the cracks in the sky mending, the darkness retreating. She took a deep breath, the cold air feeling crisp against her skin, and for the first time since arriving, she felt a flicker of hope. The land she had just saved was no longer suffocating in the weight of despair. She had done it, defeated the Harbinger, pushed back the encroaching oblivion, but there was still something tugging at her. A question, an uncertainty that refused to let go. What now? The faint sounds of the world slowly returning to life echoed in the distance. The broken ground, once cracked and jagged, was healing, grass starting to push through the once barren soil. The sky above was no longer an oppressive gray, but a soft, pale blue, the sun beginning to shine through the clouds. Yet, despite the healing of the world around her, the weight of the unknown pressed against her chest. As she began to walk through the revitalized land, her thoughts were interrupted by a soft voice, clear and calm, cutting through the stillness. "You've done well, Phoenix." Izumi turned, her instincts flaring, ready for another fight, but what she saw wasn't a threat. The figure that approached her was tall, with silver hair and piercing blue eyes, glowing with an otherworldly light. The man was dressed in robes that seemed to shift with the wind, as if the very fabric of his being was tied to the flow of time itself. "I'm sorry," Izumi said, her voice a little hoarse from the intensity of the battle. "Who are you?" The man smiled softly, his eyes filled with both wisdom and sorrow. "I am Aeon, keeper of the temporal streams. I watched you as you fought, as you protected this world." Izumi narrowed her eyes. "Temporal streams. What does that mean?" Aeon's smile remained gentle, yet there was a sadness in his gaze. "You've crossed into realms beyond your own, Izumi Midoriya. Your phoenix flames are powerful, yes. But your true strength lies in your connection to the flow of time. You are more than just a warrior, you are a bridge between worlds." Izumi's heart skipped a beat. "A bridge? What do you mean?" "You see, the multiverse is fractured. Worlds exist in layers, each one affected by the actions of others. Your battles, your victories, they ripple through time and space. But there's a cost." Aeon's expression darkened slightly. "The darkness you've fought isn't the only force trying to disrupt the balance. There are others, unseen, manipulating the threads of fate. And now, because of your victory, the balance has shifted." Izumi's mind raced. She thought she was saving worlds, but what if her actions had created more problems? Could I have made things worse? Aeon continued, his voice like the soft flow of a river, unhurried but powerful. "You have more to face, Phoenix. There are forces beyond this world, beyond the shadows you've fought. The battle for the balance of the multiverse has only just begun." Izumi's chest tightened. She had known, deep down, that her journey wasn't over, but hearing those words made her feel the weight of her role even more. She was a part of something so much larger, something she hadn't fully grasped until now. She clenched her fists, her determination sparking once more. "So, what do I do? Just sit back and let the multiverse burn?" Aeon's eyes softened. "No, you must keep fighting. But you must also understand that your actions have consequences. Every choice, every battle you win, shifts the balance. You must find allies, make decisions that are not just about power, but about sacrifice. The time for recklessness has passed." Izumi's wings fluttered as the weight of his words settled on her shoulders. She had always acted with her heart first, not always thinking about the consequences. But now, she knew that she couldn't afford to make decisions on instinct alone. The fate of countless worlds rested in her hands. "What do I need to do next?" she asked, her voice filled with quiet resolve. Aeon gave her a solemn look. "There is a convergence happening. You must travel to the Nexus of worlds, where all realities meet. It is there that you will face your greatest trial. Only then will you understand the true scope of the battle you are about to fight." Izumi's mind raced as she processed the information. The Nexus of Worlds. She had heard of it in ancient texts, a place where all the worlds converged, a place of unimaginable power and danger. But she hadn't thought it was real. "Will I be alone?" she asked, her voice suddenly unsure. Despite the power within her, the thought of facing something that immense on her own terrified her. Aeon's gaze softened. "You will never truly be alone. There are others out there who share your path, even if you have yet to meet them. And in time, you will find them." Izumi nodded, her resolve hardening. She wasn't alone. She couldn't be. Not now. With a final glance toward the man who had shown her the weight of her role, she spread her wings wide, the golden flames igniting once more. I'll go to the Nexus, Izumi said, her voice steady. And I'll face whatever comes next. Because that's what a phoenix does. Aeon's eyes shone with approval. Remember, Phoenix, the fire within you can burn through the darkest of times, but it can also illuminate the path forward. Trust yourself. With those final words echoing in her mind, Izumi took flight, soaring into the unknown once more. The Nexus awaited her, and though she didn't know what dangers or trials lay ahead, she would face them with the heart of a phoenix, unbroken, reborn, and ready to fight. Izumi flew higher, her wings beating with the force of a storm, flames licking at the edges of her feathers. The journey to the Nexus of Worlds was going to be the most difficult one yet, and she could feel the weight of her responsibility pressing down on her. But as she looked up at the ever-expanding skies above her, she knew there was no turning back now. The world beneath her began to blur as she moved faster than the wind, each beat of her wings sending ripples through the atmosphere. The air around her shimmered, reality warping as the boundaries between worlds became thin. The deeper she flew, the more it felt like she was passing through layers of existence itself, shadows of forgotten lands, glimpses of alternate realities, flickers of stories that hadn't yet been told. But there was no time for hesitation. The Nexus was a place of unimaginable power, a crossroads where all realms converged. And Izumi was the one who had to face it. The one who had to restore balance. As she approached the center of this cosmic convergence, the atmosphere grew thick with tension. The energy in the air crackled, as though the very fabric of space and time was stretching to its limits. Izumi's heart raced in her chest as she felt the presence of something ancient, something vast, pulling her toward the heart of the Nexus. And then, she saw it. A massive structure loomed before her, a swirling vortex of energy that seemed to draw the very essence of the multiverse into its core. It was the Nexus itself, an ethereal temple, formed from the threads of time and space, standing at the intersection of all realities. The pillars were made of pure light, stretching into the heavens, their form ever changing, as though they were both ancient and newly born at the same time. The air was alive with the hum of 1,000 voices, each one whispering secrets of the past, present, and future. Izumi hesitated for a moment, her flames flickering in response to the overwhelming energy of the Nexus. She could feel the pull of countless worlds, each one calling to her. But she knew what she had to do. She had to enter the heart of the Nexus and face whatever trials awaited her there. She took a deep breath, gathering her strength. With a final, determined flap of her wings, she dove toward the vortex. The moment she entered, her senses were overloaded. She felt the weight of infinite possibilities pressing against her, the energy of countless worlds colliding in a flash of light. The ground beneath her feet was unstable, shifting and morphing like a living thing. Her wings beat furiously as she tried to maintain her balance in the swirling chaos. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the madness. "Welcome, Phoenix." Izumi froze, looking around in confusion. The voice was familiar, yet alien at the same time. It resonated deep within her, like a whisper from her very soul. She didn't know where it was coming from, but she could feel its presence in the very air around her. "Who's there?" Izumi called, her voice firm despite the uncertainty in her chest. The light in the Nexus flickered, and a figure slowly emerged from the shadows. It was a woman, no, an entity, her form shifting between human and something far greater. Her eyes glowed with the same golden fire as Izumi's own, but they held a depth that spoke of lifetimes lived, of knowledge far beyond the mortal realm. "I am the guardian of the Nexus," the woman said, her voice like the sound of distant thunder, both gentle and powerful. "I have watched over this place for eons. And now, you, Phoenix, have come to face the trial that will decide the fate of all worlds." Izumi's heart raced. What trial? What do I have to do? The Guardian's eyes softened, her expression unreadable. The Nexus is the point of convergence, where all realities meet. But it is also where they can be torn apart. There are forces, dark forces, that seek to unravel the multiverse, to return everything to nothingness. Your flame is the only thing that can stop them. Izumi clenched her fists, her flames igniting around her in a blaze of golden light. "I'll stop them. I'll do whatever it takes." The guardian nodded slowly. You must face the trials of time, Phoenix. You will be tested in ways you cannot imagine. You will be forced to confront your past, your fears, and your deepest regrets. Only by passing these trials can you gain the power needed to protect the multiverse. Izumi swallowed hard. What kind of trials? What do I have to do? The guardian's gaze grew more intense. You will relive moments from your past, moments of pain and loss. You will see the choices you've made and the consequences they've had. You will face your greatest fears, and you will have to make a choice. A choice that will shape the future of all worlds. Izumi's heart sank. You're saying I have to face myself. My past, everything I've been through. The guardian's eyes shone with understanding. Yes, but remember, Phoenix, this is not about defeating an enemy. It's about understanding yourself. Your true strength lies not in your power, but in your ability to accept your flaws, your mistakes, and your growth. Izumi hesitated, uncertainty gnawing at her. But the determination in her heart burned brighter than her doubts. She had faced too much, lost too much, to turn back now. I'm ready, she said, her voice steady, her fire blazing with unshakable resolve. The guardian smiled, her form beginning to shimmer as she faded into the light. Then let the trials begin. In the blink of an eye, the world around Izumi shifted. She was no longer in the Nexus. Instead, she found herself standing in a familiar place, the ruins of the city she had once called home. The air was heavy with smoke and ash, and the streets were eerily quiet. In the distance, she could see the silhouette of a figure, a person she knew all too well. It was her past self. Izumi's breath caught in her throat as she saw the girl she had once been, the girl who had been powerless, overlooked, and ridiculed. The girl who had dreamed of being a hero, despite everything. The girl who had been afraid of losing everything. The figure turned, and for a moment, their eyes met. Izumi's heart clenched. Is this the trial? She whispered, her voice trembling. Her past self smiled, but there was pain in that smile. You're not just facing the trials of time, Izumi. You're facing the truth of who you've been. And who you've become. Izumi's heart pounded in her chest. She had fought so hard to get here, but now, the past seemed like an insurmountable wall, one she wasn't sure she could overcome. But the flames within her burned brighter. She wasn't that girl anymore. She was the Phoenix. And she would rise again. The city around Izumi flickered again, and the familiar surroundings of her past warped, twisting like a dream that wouldn't settle. The air grew heavy with the weight of memories, of the struggles she had faced, of the doubts and fears that had once held her back. But the more she stared at the figure of her younger self, the more she realized something: this wasn't her anymore. Her past self stood in front of a burning building, staring down at the wreckage of a life she couldn't control, helpless as the flames consumed everything. Izumi could feel the pain radiating off of her, the feeling of being lost and uncertain, the terror of never being enough. Her heart ached for that version of herself, the girl who had wanted to be a hero but didn't know how. You've been here before, her past self whispered, a strange sadness in her voice. All of us have been here. Alone, lost, weak. Do you remember that feeling? Izumi swallowed hard. She did remember. She remembered the ache in her chest, the quiet voice in her head that had told her she wasn't strong enough to make a difference. But that was before the Phoenix power had awakened inside her. Before she realized that strength wasn't just about power, it was about heart. About the will to fight for others, even if it meant sacrificing everything. I remember, Izumi said, her voice steady despite the knot in her throat. But I'm not that girl anymore. I've grown. I've learned. Her past self's eyes shimmered with a kind of knowing. Learning is painful, Izumi. But it's the only way to move forward. You can't outrun your past, no matter how fast you fly. It will always catch up to you. Izumi's wings twitched, her flames flickering nervously as she stepped closer to the figure of her younger self. The fire inside her was warm, comforting, but it was also a reminder of everything she had lost along the way. Had all the pain really been worth it? The question lingered in her mind like a shadow, and for a brief moment, she doubted herself. But then she thought of the people she had saved, the lives she had touched with her strength. She thought of her friends, her family, her mentors. Each one had helped shape her, even if they didn't always understand the full extent of her power. She wasn't alone anymore. Are you afraid? Her past self asked, her voice a low whisper in the burning wind. Afraid of failing again, of losing everything. Izumi clenched her fists, feeling the warmth of her phoenix flames flare up. I'm not afraid anymore, she said, her voice rising with the confidence she had earned through every trial. I've faced the worst of it. I've been through the darkest times. But I'm still standing. And I'll keep standing. The figure of her past self smiled, but it wasn't the same sad smile from before. This time, it was one of understanding, of recognition. Then you've passed the first trial, Phoenix. You've faced your past, and you've accepted who you were and who you've become. Izumi's wings flared as the flames around her intensified, but the heat was no longer overwhelming. It was empowering, a sign that she was ready for what came next. Her past self began to fade, dissolving into the smoke and ashes of the city, and the scene around her shifted once more. The ground beneath her feet trembled, and Izumi was pulled into a new reality, one that felt even more disorienting than the last. She found herself standing on a cliff, looking out at a vast, endless expanse of darkness. A void, stretching into infinity. And then, a voice, a cold, hollow voice, spoke from the depths of the darkness. You've come far, Phoenix, it hissed, but this is where your true trial begins. Izumi's heart raced as she looked around, trying to locate the source of the voice. It echoed all around her, like it was coming from the very air itself. Who's there? She demanded, her voice strong despite the growing sense of dread. Show yourself. From the darkness, a figure emerged. It was a man, but not entirely human. His features were twisted, like a distorted reflection of someone she once knew. His eyes burned with a fiery malice, and his voice, his very presence, was suffocating. I am what you fear most, the figure said, his voice dripping with venom. I am the darkness that lies within you. The part of you that still doubts, still fears, still hesitates. The part of you that isn't ready to accept your true power. Izumi's flames flickered, the light dimming as the figure's presence seemed to drain the warmth from the air. The fear, the uncertainty she had pushed down for so long, bubbled up within her, threatening to consume her. No, Izumi whispered, shaking her head. I've faced my past. I know who I am. The figure smirked. Do you? Or have you just been running from your true self? From the very thing that makes you who you are? Izumi took a step back, but she didn't let her fear overtake her. She had already conquered her past. This, whatever it was just another challenge she had to face. I am the Phoenix, she said, her voice firm, filled with conviction. And the darkness can't control me. With a roar, Izumi unleashed the full power of her flames, a brilliant inferno of golden fire that tore through the void. The darkness shrieked, twisting and warping, trying to resist the heat. But Izumi pressed on, her heart pounding, her flames burning brighter with every step. You're not me, she shouted. You're just a shadow of my doubts. The figure screamed, its form disintegrating under the intensity of the phoenix flames. As the darkness faded, so too did the oppressive weight that had tried to hold her back. Izumi stood tall, the fire around her bright and unyielding, her wings spread wide as she faced the endless horizon. The voice of the guardian echoed through the now empty void. You have passed the second trial, Phoenix. You have faced your fears and overcome them. Izumi's heart swelled with pride, but she knew this wasn't over. She had one more trial to face, one more truth to confront. The darkness dissipated completely, replaced by an almost blinding light. Izumi squinted against the sudden brightness, her wings adjusting to the sudden shift. As the light began to fade, she found herself standing in a new place, an empty void, yet familiar, with only a single, shining figure in front of her. It was her mother. Izumi's breath caught in her throat. Her mother stood there, an ethereal, almost godlike presence, her eyes glowing with the same fiery intensity that Izumi had come to recognize as her own. She looked just as Izumi remembered, back when she was a child, warm, loving, yet so strong. But there was something different now, a deep sorrow behind her smile. Izumi, her mother's voice was soft, almost a whisper, but it filled the entire space around her. You've come far, my daughter. Izumi stepped forward, her heart pounding. Mom. But you, how are you here? Her mother's eyes softened, a flicker of sadness crossing her features. I am a part of you, Izumi. Always have been, always will be, but I was never meant to stay by your side forever. I left you with a legacy, a fire that would help you grow. But in doing so, I also left you with the pain of my absence. Izumi's chest tightened. The pain of losing her mother had been one of the hardest battles she had fought, even after all this time. But now, standing before her, she could feel the weight of the unsaid words between them. The loss, the regret. Don't leave me again, Izumi whispered, her voice breaking as she took another step forward. Please, I don't know if I can do this alone. Her mother stepped forward, her form glowing even brighter, a radiant presence that seemed to fill the void. Izumi, you've never been alone. Not once. You carry my fire within you, and that is your strength. You've learned how to rise from the ashes, to carry on even in the darkest moments. You've learned to be more than just a reflection of me. You've learned to be yourself. Izumi's tears welled up, but they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of understanding, of acceptance. She realized that she didn't have to hold on to the past anymore. She didn't have to mourn the loss of what could never be. Her mother's flame lived on in her, in the strength that had carried her this far. I've always been proud of you, her mother's voice echoed softly. But it's time for you to find your own path, Izumi. The trials you've faced, the people you've saved, that's all you. I am just the spark. You are the fire. Izumi nodded, her heart swelling with a mixture of grief and gratitude. She had spent so long holding on to the memory of her mother, unable to move forward, unsure of her place in the world. But now, standing here, she understood. She didn't need to be defined by what she had lost. She could create her own future. The light around her began to pulse, fading slowly as her mother's form started to dissolve into the air. Goodbye, Izumi. Remember, you are the phoenix now. Rise from the ashes whenever you fall. You carry the fire, and that means you can never truly be defeated. Izumi wiped her eyes, her flames reigniting around her, stronger than ever. I'll rise, she whispered to herself, her voice steady and full of resolve. I'll rise again. As her mother's presence faded into the light, Izumi's wings flared out, their flames igniting fiercely. The trials had tested her, broken her, but in the end, they had given her the strength to face the future. The void around her began to twist, shifting into a familiar sight, the Nexus of worlds. But this time, it felt different. The energy that pulsed around her was not the chaotic, overwhelming force it had been before. Now, it was calm, controlled, a reminder of everything she had learned. Izumi stood tall, her flames flickering as she faced the swirling vortex of the Nexus. She had passed every trial. She had confronted her past, her fears, and her doubts. She had accepted who she was and who she had become. She wasn't just the phoenix. She was Izumi Midoriya, strong, unbreakable, and ready for whatever came next. And with that, she stepped forward, her wings flapping with renewed strength, ready to face the next challenge in this world of infinite possibilities. Izumi's wings beat powerfully, the fiery feathers trailing behind her as she soared through the swirling vortex. The Nexus of worlds pulsed around her, its colors shifting like a kaleidoscope, each new world beckoning with its own mysterious allure. Yet, amidst the vast, unknown realms, Izumi felt an undeniable sense of purpose. She had been through so much, faced so many versions of herself, some weaker, some broken, but none of them had been enough to stop her. She was still standing, still flying. She was the phoenix. The vortex spun faster, and Izumi's heart pounded in rhythm with its rotation. Her flames burned brighter, and she could feel the heat growing stronger. This was it, the final trial, the last step in her journey. She had no idea where she was going or what awaited her, but for the first time, that uncertainty didn't scare her. It excited her. Suddenly, the swirling vortex stopped, leaving her suspended in midair, the light around her growing intense. A low hum vibrated through the air, and she could feel something ancient, powerful, stirring beneath her. The voice of the guardian echoed in her mind, calm yet authoritative. Welcome to the heart of the Nexus, Phoenix. You have reached the final trial, where worlds converge and destinies are shaped. Izumi felt her stomach tighten with anticipation. What does that mean? She asked, her voice steady despite the overwhelming energy around her. The voice was both distant and close at once, as though it existed everywhere and nowhere. In the Nexus, all paths intersect. The power you possess, your Phoenix flame, will decide the future of not just your world, but of many. You have the power to shape realities, to bend time and space. But with such power comes a choice. Izumi's wings flickered, her flame sizzling with curiosity. What choice? The air around her shimmered, and the ground beneath her began to form, twisting into a familiar landscape. It was her city, the place she had once called home, but with one striking difference: the skyline was filled with shadows. The buildings crumbled, and chaos reigned in the streets. People were running, fear in their eyes, and villains seemed to dominate the city, terrorizing everyone in their path. "This is one possible future," the Guardian's voice echoed, now more urgent. "A world where the flames of destruction outnumber the flames of hope. Where your power could be used to destroy rather than protect." Izumi's heart dropped into her stomach as she stared at the twisted version of her world. It was unrecognizable. The faces of her friends and family were now expressions of horror, and she could feel their cries reaching her, even through the distance. But what struck her most was the familiar silhouette standing at the center of it all, her. No. A version of herself, only darker, her flames blackened and twisted, stood amidst the destruction. She was surrounded by enemies, but it wasn't the enemies that bothered Izumi. It was the cold, calculating expression on her face. This was the woman she could have become, if she had let her fears, her rage, and her doubts consume her. "You see the path before you," the Guardian intoned. "You have the power to change the course of destiny. Will you choose to save your world, to protect it from the darkness, or will you succumb to the very thing that drives you: vengeance, power, control?" Izumi felt her heart race, the weight of the decision pressing on her. She had been through so much already, faced so many versions of herself. But this was the ultimate test. She could feel the darkness stirring within her, a power she could command with ease, the temptation to let go and let the flames burn wild and uncontrolled. She could dominate, take what was hers by force. But no, the thought made her stomach churn. The power wasn't just about destruction, it was about rebirth, about protecting what mattered. It was about choosing hope when all seemed lost. She had learned that in the darkest moments of her life. Izumi clenched her fists, the phoenix flames crackling around her. "I won't let this happen," she said firmly, her voice filled with determination. "I am the phoenix. I rise from the ashes, not to burn everything down, but to rebuild. To protect." The twisted version of herself sneered, her voice full of scorn. "You think you can save them? The world is beyond saving, Izumi. It will always crumble. Power rules, and nothing will change that." Izumi's wings unfurled, the golden flames blazing brighter than ever before. "I don't need to rule," she said, her voice unwavering. "I just need to protect. I just need to make sure that people have a future to fight for." The city around her began to change, the shadows receding as the light of her phoenix flames pushed back the darkness. Her heart burned with the resolve to fight for those who couldn't fight for themselves. The world wasn't perfect, and it might never be. But it deserved a chance. And she was the one who would give it that chance. The twisted version of herself screeched in fury as her form dissolved into the smoke, disappearing into the void. The darkness around Izumi evaporated, leaving her standing in a world that was beginning to heal, its people rising from the ashes of their past mistakes. The Guardian's voice spoke once more, now filled with respect. "You have passed the final trial, Phoenix. You have chosen the path of light, not darkness. Your power is yours to wield, and now, you are ready to face the future." Izumi stood tall, her wings fluttering as the last remnants of the trial faded. The city she had seen in the vision was no longer broken, it was filled with hope, people working together to rebuild what had been lost. Her heart swelled with pride as she realized that she had made the right choice. The journey had been long, but she had come out the other side stronger than ever. With a final, deep breath, Izumi spread her wings and soared into the sky, the phoenix flames burning brighter than ever as she looked toward the horizon. Whatever awaited her, she would face it head-on. She was the phoenix, and nothing could ever extinguish her fire. Izumi flew high, her wings cutting through the sky with ease, the wind whipping through her hair as the world beneath her slowly transformed. The city was healing, people were rebuilding, and the light of hope seemed to shine brighter with every passing moment. But even as she soared through the air, a strange feeling lingered in the pit of her stomach. The choice she had made, protecting, rather than destroying, felt right, but something was still missing. Something she couldn't quite put her finger on. She glanced down at the city, her heart heavy with the knowledge that peace wasn't permanent. It never was. There would always be new challenges, new villains, new forces trying to tear everything apart. And what if the darkness she had fought against wasn't truly gone? What if it was merely waiting, biding its time, ready to strike when she least expected it? A distant rumble echoed through the air, making Izumi freeze mid-flight. Her eyes narrowed, and she turned, scanning the horizon. Something was out there, something dark. Before she could react, the ground below her shattered, a massive force erupting from the earth, sending debris and flames into the sky. The familiar sky turned into a blur of dark clouds as an ominous shadow loomed in the distance, growing larger with each passing second. Izumi's heart skipped a beat. The Nexus had warned her, told her she'd face trials, but this felt different. Something far more powerful was coming. And she wasn't sure if she was ready. Is this the beginning? She whispered to herself, the words barely escaping her lips before a sharp, shrill cry split the air, reverberating through the very core of her being. It was the sound of something ancient, something she couldn't comprehend. The air crackled with energy, and in the distance, a dark figure emerged from the wreckage of the shattered earth. The flames around her flickered, unstable for the first time since her rebirth. Her flames were a reflection of her emotions, flickering, uncertain. Izumi Midoriya, the voice came, chilling and distorted, a sinister presence seeping into the very fabric of the world. You may have risen once, but you have yet to face the true test. The fire you carry, it's not the only flame in existence. The figure's eyes glowed with an eerie light as it drew closer, its shape becoming clearer. A being of shadows and flame, unlike anything Izumi had ever seen. It was as though it was forged from the very remnants of darkness, a mirror of the phoenix, but twisted. Izumi's pulse quickened. She couldn't stop the chill that ran down her spine. This wasn't just another enemy. This was something more, something ancient, something that had been watching her, waiting for the right moment to strike. And in that moment, Izumi knew, this was far from over. She had made her choice, but the real battle was only just beginning. The darkness had not been defeated. It had only been delayed. The figure laughed, a deep, mocking sound that reverberated through her chest, making her wings tremble. You think you've chosen the right path, Phoenix. But you've only sealed your fate. Izumi steeled herself, her wings flaring out as the flame surged around her. She would face this new challenge, just as she had faced every other. But deep down, she knew this would be her greatest trial yet. And then, as if the very air around her had shattered, the figure lunged forward. But before the final blow could strike, everything went dark. That's it for today. Hope you liked it. Part 1 ends here, but the story is far from over. Stay tuned for the next chapter, where Izumi will face even greater trials, new allies, and threats more dangerous than ever. If you enjoyed this, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Fiction Flux for more epic adventures. Target for 40 likes, let's make it happen. Thanks for watching.